Hi there, my name is Tatiana and you're watching YouTube channel You Can. Today is June 23rd, 2026, and today is the day I will be staking my tomatoes. I like to wear a pair of gloves. Tomatoes are a nightshade, so it's a good idea to wear gloves. Some people are sensitive to the foliage and the stems. They will leave green stains on your fingers. I love to use these, I think it's Bellingham. No, this video is not sponsored, but I really like these gloves because they fit on so nice and snug, and they're not bulky and terrible, and they last a decent time. So I love to have gloves. I'll need a pair of scissors, a nice hammer, and of course, stakes. The stakes came from the Amish at 50 cents a piece. Should you stake tomatoes or should you not stake tomatoes? Well, there's two sides to that coin. First of all, I'm a huge garden advocate. And if you don't stake your tomatoes, guess what? They're still going to produce tomatoes. Yay! But staking the tomatoes makes picking them a lot easier and actually helps prevent a lot of the rotting that happens on the tomato fruit from it being on the ground. So there are benefits to staking tomatoes, but if you don't have time to stake your tomatoes, and whether you have to stake tomatoes or not is the reason why you're going to garden or not going to garden, don't let staking tomatoes be the job that kills your gardening in your own backyard. There's a couple things that I like to do at this point when I am staking the tomatoes, and I will take you step by step through the process. What am I doing? Well, there's one thing I forgot. You need something to tie the tomatoes up. And guess what? I love to recycle stuff. You can use a garden twine to tie the tomato stalks to the stakes, or you can use, I'm using an old massage sheet. How did I get a hold of a massage sheet? Ask me that question in the comments. So if you're recycling some kind of fabric or, I don't know, old t-shirts or something, you want to have the strip about this thick. It really helps support the tomato plant, but also is easier to tie than when they're like super thin and tear maybe. All right. So first things first, gotta drive the stake in. And something to remember, so when I planted my tomatoes, I kind of put them like at a little angle so that they would grow more roots on the stems. So I planted them all the same way, pointing in the same direction. That way I knew that when I would be staking them, I wouldn't be driving the stake through the tomato stalk. So I'm not like right beside the tomato. I'm about 6 to 8 inches away from the tomato stalk, where the tomato stalk does not travel through the ground. But gotta drive that stake in, and you want to make sure that your stakes are sturdy, because the tomato plants do get heavy and ouch, and they can break or topple the stakes over if the stake isn't driven into the soil far enough. So you want to give it a little wiggle and make sure that it's sitting in the soil really well. I like to cut the bottom leaves off. They oftentimes get a little all curled up and they might have a little bit of something on them. So when you cut them away, you actually help prevent diseases that might start on the plant, because there's a lot of moisture on the ground, and if the leaves are touching the ground, they tend to get different, I don't know if they're funguses or what they are, but I like to clean the bottom of the stem up about 4 or 5, sometimes 6 leaves up. And then what you want to do is gently, like as you can see, this tomato is pretty big, aka this could have been done maybe a week or 2 or maybe even 3 ago, but I didn't get to it. So I want to encourage you to relax. If you're gardening, everything doesn't have to be perfect and on time per se, because gardening is not about making everything perfect. It's about enjoying the process and then enjoying the fruits of your labor, literally. What I do is I wrap this around the plant and I crisscross it over, and then I put it around the steak. Why do I crisscross it over? You know, before shooting this video, I was thinking, why do I do this? And I have no explanation except for the fact that my grandmother used to tie tomatoes like that, and she always said that it's more comfortable for the tomato. She spoke tomato language, but I like to think that tomatoes also feel, I don't know, maybe something, I don't know. But now knowing, hearing my grandma's voice in my head, I cannot just tie the tomato randomly, because I will then be guilt-ridden and lay wide awake at night and think about how agonizing it must be for the tomato just hanging on a single little thread in my garden. Anyway, that's kind of how you do it. So I like to use the ribbon often enough that the tomato will be supported on all levels, because as the fruits grow bigger, the tomato plant is heavier, so you don't want it to pop and break. You want to support it well. Also, as you can see, this tomato is like all curved over, because plants like to be you know, vertical towards the sky, so they will adjust their position so that they can be in proper alignment with the sky. So after a couple days, this tomato will straighten out, and I will be able to tie up the rest of the branches to the stake without like hurting them or accidentally popping them. If I were to try and tie this up right now, I'm running the risk of popping it right here, so I don't want to do that. I'm going to let it straighten out with the sun and the moon, and then I will tie it up. So in order for you to be able to drive the stake into the ground, you need to make one end sharp. I'll show you how to do that. So you could use an axe, you could use a hand saw. I'm gonna use the chop saw. This is probably not the best way to use a chop saw, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. I'm making sure that that line falls on the middle, and voila, one side, and then I'll do the other. Da, 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 da. So let's talk about tomato suckers. So why do we remove them, and should we remove them? Technically, if you leave them on, you're still gonna get tomatoes. But when we have something like this, if you take a look right here, we have the main tomato stem, and then we have this thing that is not a leaf. It looks like another stem. We want to remove this because the tomato will put a lot of energy into growing this, but it will not be able to produce fruit at the same time as this part. As you can see, there's a lot of tomatoes starting to grow on this part of the fruit. So this is literally going to suck the life out of the tomato plant, because the tomato will have to support this little stem, because it will eventually have flowers on it as well. And a lot of times that's just too much for the plant, and you don't get good tomatoes on the entire plant because you didn't remove the suckers. So whenever I'm staking them, I also remove the suckers. I like to remove them early on, like when they're just tiny little ones, but life happens, you get busy. I didn't get to remove all of them when they were little, so I'm removing them right now. And if we take a look right here, you will be able to see this, such a good example right here. So this is the main stem right here. And as you can see, I just cut this leaf off right here. There was a leaf, and this part, this thing is a sucker. As you can see, is just starting to push out flowers, whereas this stem already has tomato fruit on it. So if I were to leave this one, this tomato will never mature to full size, because this part is drawing a lot of the energy to grow and produce all of these tomatoes. Whereas if I cut this, the root will basically just throw all of its energy and attention into growing this one stem, and there will be more flowers here, and it will grow bigger, and there will be more flowers on all of these parts as the tomato continues to grow. The idea is to thin the tomato out by cutting the bottom leaves off, also thinning the suckers out, cutting those suckers off. That reduces the size of your plant, allows for sunlight to shine through the entire plant, and also allows the air to move through it, and after the rain, dry off the leaves so that they're not all like rotting inside. You will get bigger, better, more flavorful tomatoes if you do that versus if you just leave them with all the suckers and all the leaves on them. Having said that, don't let this prevent you from planting a tomato in your backyard because if you leave all of that on, it will still give you tomatoes. So if you have not watched my mulching video, it's in the comments. But I love mulching because it prevents weeds from growing and overtaking the garden and reduces the amount of time you have to spend on maintenance and keeping everything, you know, from being overgrown. But as you can see right here, this is grass clippings. I've used grass clippings to mulch right around the plants. So it's perfectly normal to have weeds come up like this, and what I do is I will just throw them right here in my row, and they will decompose and they will create more mulch, which is great and lovely for my plants. So I like to do that as well as I am trimming all of the suckers and the leaves and staking my tomatoes and tying them up. I like to get rid of all the weeds, or as much as possible. Now, if you just leave them growing, it's okay. Your tomatoes will still grow. Parsley and basil grow really well in companionship with tomatoes, so I love to plant them in between my tomato plants. That's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, hit a like and subscribe for more videos like this.